Ms. Nelson, you detail concerns about pilot pay. And can you explain about flight attendants' pay and where you stand?
Yes, thank you very much for that question. We have the same concerns about flight attendant pay in the regional industries, and in fact, flight attendant pay is lower than the figures that were given today for pilots. So, for example, actually sharing the panel here today, Mr. Childs, SkyWest does a better job of paying flight attendants in the regional industry, but across the board, on average, flight attendants working on regional jets under the flag of the mainline carriers and serving the same passengers are making 45% less. Then
Why?
And that is concerning because they are also aviation's first responders and last line of defense in aviation security.
Why are they getting less pay?
Because of what has been described here today, which is the volatility of the regional model that is very, very tight in these capacity purchase agreements with the mainline airlines. And those agreements have not built in enough ability for these regional carriers to provide sufficient pay to the people who are working for them. Mesa Airlines is a bottom feeder on this, providing 20% less than the rest of the regional flight attendants as well. We are in the middle of a strike vote on that and trying to rectify that situation, but they also have very low work rules that include only paying for schedule. So if a flight is going from Chicago to LaGuardia and has to divert, has to hold in the air, has to stay with those passengers for upwards of 6-7 hours, depending upon what happens, they are still only paid the 2 hours that they were originally scheduled for. It's inhumane, it's got to change, and it is a problem with the general structure of the agreements between the mainline and the regional carriers, first and foremost.
Thank you. But one of the other questions that I had was the concern I have over subsidized foreign airlines in the U.S. market. I was wondering whether they have the same requirements for the pilots and for the attendants, because if they're subsidized, we don't subsidize that to the size of what they do in foreign countries. Would you have any comment about the concern this brings up and the problem with any airline and how we could address it?
We have concerns that, of course, we don't have oversight over what those airlines are doing.
Correct.
So in some of these countries, it is outlawed for workers to even organize, to bargain contracts, to band together, to beat back to the discriminatory practices that we have beat back over the years. If they overtake our market, we will not be able to get that back again. So for every route that the U.S. airlines have to cede, those Gulf carriers are encroaching upon the U.S. market, which is decreasing their ability to actually compete with the network structures, and ultimately will be choked out. And we won't have any say over how those workers are treated or what the safety standards are. We won't have any control over the industry that is providing service for Americans.
Well, I'd like to ask you one question, since you brought it up, of the attendants. Are the attendants and the pilots given any mental health screenings? Because you deal with a lot of crazy people sometimes. And I fly twice a week. So I've seen it all, I've heard it all, 18 years of it. Mental health is beginning to be a major problem that we should have maybe training for the pilots and for the attendants.
So mental health is certainly an issue that we deal with for our union, and having unions and having professional pilots and flight attendants who are career employees is very important. We can provide resources and structures to be able to support people throughout their careers. So we have vibrant EAP programs where we address these issues in the workplace immediately. Their peers understand that they can report any concerns that they might have, get people the help that they need sooner.
But are they trained to recognize any of the symptoms?
Our EAP committees are trained to recognize those symptoms, to report that, and all workers are advised in unionized workplaces at U.S. carriers that they have the ability to use these resources to their benefit, to report any potential problems in a confidential atmosphere, to get help to those employees, get them off the job while they need to recover, and bring them back when they are healthy.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Ricada.
Thank you, Chairman.